Good morning, scholars. Welcome to reading lesson number 94. Continuing on in our story, The Iditarod Adventures. I'm remembering in our story today is examination day. Remember, Chat is taking all the dogs to the veterinarian for their exam. So, lesson 94, column 1. Word 1 is visibility. What word? Right, visibility. Word 2 is fierce. What word? Right, fierce. Number 3 is miserable. What word? Good, miserable. Word 4 is courage. What word? Good, courage. Another word for bravery is courage. So if someone lacks bravery, we could say they lack courage. If she performed an act of bravery, she performed an act of courage. Word 5 is challenging. What word? Good. Challenging is another word for very difficult. Did you find that word challenging? Meaning, did you find that word very difficult? If an event is very difficult, we say the event is challenging. Right? If the trail is very difficult, we say the trail is challenging. And word 6 is dedicated. What word? Right, dedicated. If something is dedicated to a person, it is done out of respect for that person. If a race is dedicated to Jimmy, the race is done out of respect to Jimmy. Let's go through those words in column 1 again. There's a lot of big new words there. Word 1, yes, visibility. Let's go ahead and do it the quick way, starting back at 1 again. Everyone ready? Here we go. Visibility, fierce, miserable, courage, challenging, dedicated. All right, column 2. Scholars, all the words in column 2 have endings on them. They all have suffixes. So we're going to break it down into the root word and the suffix. Word 1, the root word is assistant, and we're adding the S suffix to make a plural noun. What word? Good, assistance. Number 2 is a verb. The root word is injure, and we added the ed past tense ending suffix to make, right, injured. Injured is a past tense verb, right? If you've been injured, it happened in the past. Number 3, our root word is accord, and we're adding the suffix ing to make, yes, according. Number 4, our root word is health, and we're adding the suffix y to make, good, healthy. Number 5, the root word is certificate. We're adding an S to make it a plural noun. What word? Nice. Certificates is correct. Go ahead to column 3. What is word 1? Yes, alarm. Do you set an alarm clock to help you get up in the morning? Alarm. Number 2. What word? Yes, blizzard. Number 3. What word? Right, exchange. Number 4. What word? Correct, nightmare. And number 5. What word? Yes, checkpoint. So it's a compound word. Check and point put together make the word checkpoint. We'll find out soon what a checkpoint is, but it's a point where something is checked. We'll be hearing about that very soon. All right, column 4. Words for number 1 are hip joint. What words? Yes, hip joint. The place where the leg joins the hip is your hip joint. See if you can find your hip joint, where your leg meets your hip. That's your hip joint. Number 2 is limp. What word? Yes, limp. Number 3 is X-ray. What word? Correct, X-ray. An X-ray is a photograph that shows someone's bones. So, what's the name of a photograph that shows someone's bones? Right, an X-ray. Word 4. What word? Right, replace. And word 5 is a proper noun. In this case, it's the name of one of the dogs. What name? Right, Chugger. So it's a proper noun naming a specific dog of Chad's. Nice job. All right, scholars, if you feel like you want to practice or need to practice any of those vocabulary words, press pause for a moment, go through those vocabulary words again. Otherwise, a quick sip of our coffee, and then we're going to read today's story. All right, Part B, our story for today, Examination Day. Susie didn't like getting up early, so she set her alarm clock for 6:40. That gave her only 20 minutes before Chad would pick her up. She dressed quickly, ran downstairs, and started gulping down her breakfast. Her mother said, "You're eating faster than Denali. Slow down." "Okay," she said. So, pause for a moment, scholars. Let's just check how we're listening so far. What time did she get up? Right, 6:40. And how much time does she have until it's time to leave? Correct, 20 minutes. So in that 20 minutes, she has to get dressed, she has to eat. I was kind of hoping maybe she'd brush her teeth, right? At what time is Chad coming over then? If she got up at 6:40 and she has 20 minutes to get ready and eat, right, he's coming over to get her at 7 o'clock. The weather reporter on the radio was saying, "Looks as if the Iditarod will be run in winter weather this year. A large mass of cold air is moving in from the north." The report gave Susie a nervous feeling. Bad weather can make the Iditarod a nightmare for the mushers and the dogs. 5 minutes later, Susie was standing outside, dressed in her parka. It was 7 o'clock. The wind was sharp and ugly, and Chad was late. Right? Scholars, the wind was sharp and ugly. That reminds me of personification. Right? Can wind really be sharp? Right? And can wind really be ugly? No, but what it's saying there, right, by letting us know it's sharp and ugly, is that right, it's a strong wind, and it's feeling kind of fierce, right? And it's really kind of poking at her, and it's not pleasant. Right? The wind was sharp and ugly, and Chad was late. When Chad's truck finally pulled up at 7:10, Susie noticed something very strange. So hold that spot for a second, everyone. So he was supposed to be there at what time? Right, 7 o'clock. How many minutes late was he? Oh my goodness, he was 10 minutes late. Ugh. Let's see what she noticed that was very strange. Ready to continue? Butch was in the back of the truck. He wasn't one of Chad's regular wheel dogs, so why would he be going for an examination? "Hey, Uncle Chad," she said, "why is Butch in the truck?" Chad replied, "For the same reason that Denali's going to be in the truck." "What's that reason?" "I decided to run 16 dogs." 16? Susie understood what Chad said as soon as he spoke the words, but it took her a few seconds to realize what she was about to shout. "Denali's going to run the Iditarod!" She jumped up and down 3 times before she ran over to Denali's kennel. She opened the gate and told Denali to get on the truck. Then she opened the truck door, leaned over, and gave Chad a great hug. "Yes!" she shouted. "Yes! Yes!" she shouted. He said, "You're yelling in my ear." So let's hold that spot a second, everyone. So in yesterday's story, Chad had been talking about the race, and how many dogs was he planning to run in yesterday's story? 14. Right. And now he's decided to run how many dogs? Correct, 16 of them. But remember, yesterday we heard what's good about having 16 dogs and what can be bad about having 16 dogs. Now, one more question. What are the names of the two dogs that he's now planning to add to his team? Right, Butch and Denali. Nice job. All right, let's go a little bit further. She hugged Chad a few more times, and then her thoughts suddenly changed. She wondered if Denali was really ready for the race. What if he got injured? What if the weather got so bad that the sled got lost? What if... And then, scholars, do you see the ellipsis? Right, her thinking kind of just trails off, right? She's thinking of all these what ifs. And we're at the first flower. Scholars, that's where I'm going to stop. I want you to go ahead today and read the rest of that to yourself. It's quite a big chunk. Read it very carefully, and then I have just a few questions for you after you read. Press pause right now. Take care of that reading, please. All right, let's check on what you read. If you're having trouble with any of these questions, press pause, go back into the story, do some rereading, and find some evidence if you need to. Why did Chad think he would be better off with 16 dogs instead of 14 dogs? Right. So, scholars, your answer should have had something to do about, right? He's thinking if something happens to some of the dogs, right, then he'll still have enough dogs to finish the race. How many dogs can a musher exchange during the race? Right, 0, none. And what did we find out happens to an injured dog? Correct. The musher has to take it to the next checkpoint and leave it there. So, if one of your dogs gets injured and you have to leave it at the checkpoint, you cannot exchange that dog for another dog. You can't replace that dog. So, if you started with, let's say, 14 and 2 of your dogs get injured and have to be left at checkpoints, you're down to 12. You can't exchange those 2 for 2 more to keep 14. So, he's decided it'd be better to start with more. According to the rules, a musher must have at least how many dogs on the gang line at the end of the race? 5 is correct. So you must have at least 5 dogs still. So scholars, think about that. He's starting with 16, and maybe he'll end with 16, but he has to have at least 5 still at the end. So that's a lot of possibilities for those other dogs to be injured, I guess. So, how many dogs had a problem at the vet exam? Right, 1. Can you give us the name of that dog? Remember, pause and look back if you're not sure. Right, Chugger is the name of that dog. And what kind of problem did the vet think that she might have? Excellent. A problem with her hip. And what's Chugger's job? What job does Chugger have on the team? Good job. Yes. Chugger is a wheel dog. Now, did the vet say Chugger can't race? No. So far, Chugger could race, but she warned Chad that Chugger may have a problem. What do you think Chad's going to do? Have Chugger in the race, or will he keep her out of the race? Let's find out in the next lesson, right, if your prediction is right. Will he keep Chugger in or not have Chugger race? Will she be in the race with him or not? We'll find out more in our next lesson. All right, scholars, be sure to click on the link for information about your assignment today.